Hey guys, it's Damian Senior here from Heroes of the Shire. Thank you very much for tuning in and joining me this afternoon. I'm going to be running through phase 1 of the fire scenario, running a solo mode. You can see that I have everything here already pre-set up. I've got my tokens and conditions in a little couple of dishes over here, my equipment board, my backpack token. I've got my AI deck here, I have my adventure deck here. We have the trash mobs. I've got some dice ready as health points for when the trash mobs get summoned. We've got our fire elemental boss here. We already know where these guys are. It's already in the back of the rulebook when we lay out the tiles. This is phase 1 of the fire scenario. Once I've defeated phase 1, we will put the phase away and rebuild phase 2. Or should I say build, not rebuild. We'll build phase 2, we'll put that away, and then we build the third and final phase. Okay, and that's just designed to try and save on table space. We have the action card deck over here. I have a treasure chest with some lovely loot items underneath here. My cooldown dice, my shield token, my retired Warlock. He's hanging out in the Shire, ready for an adventure. Oh, sorry, I tell you what I did forget to do. I forgot to get my, see if I can find that now, my warrior standee. And the reason being is the warrior is my ally card this afternoon, and he is going to be joining me on the adventure. Let me have a look if you guys can see. We've got the warrior card here. And this is a little small condensed version of a hero board. And this guy's going to help me defeat some of these enemy bosses. So I forgot to get my standee for you, Mr. Warrior. Here we go. You can join the Warlock. So guys, we haven't explained an awful lot about our AI deck, so let's give you a quick introduction. We have, let me see if I can come to the camera a little bit more so I can show you guys. We have our passive deck. Sorry, there we go. And this is a passive AI deck, okay? And we just take a quick look at one of the cards here. And it says, if you're above 50 HP, you may cast your lowest cooldown attack spell with no cooldown dice. And if you're above 50 health, you may cast your highest cooldown attack spell without a cooldown dice. Sorry, I got that the wrong way around. We have another one here. You call for aid. Summon one enemy trash mob minion to your ability tab. These are the cards I like. Your attack misses, 0 damage to all enemies. And then we have these ones that are staggered in separate phases, depending on the boss's health. This will be what the bosses, or not just the boss, sorry, all the AI minions will be doing. Okay, so that's our passive deck, and this will form most of the AI. Now we have a custom traits dice. This will get rolled for each minion that's summoned. We'll decide if they are aggressive or if they are defensive. Now, if they're aggressive, we shuffle one of these aggressive cards. They're more or less the same, just slightly different options, hence the aggression. They're a little bit more aggressive. And then the same for defensive over here as well. Okay. These will get shuffled into the passive deck, forming our new AI deck. And as we progress through the scenario, this deck will get bigger and bigger and bigger, more aggressive or more defensive, depending on the random dice rolls from the monsters, if they're aggressive or defensive. Okay, we have our adventure deck here. The adventure deck consists of keep exploring, nothing to see here cards, trash mob summons, loot items, and action cards. Okay, and let's give it a quick shuffle. And I'm just going to play with this deck face up, so I'm not getting confused with the deck next to it. And the reason being is because these decks have changed every now and again, and it's not cost effective for us to keep printing prototypes in China and shipping them over every time we make a tiny little tweak on a card. So some of these have just been printed from a local printer here in Shropshire, hence why there's no back on some of these cards here. These are sort of the ones that we've had over, made in China for us, the ones that we've sent out to our reviewers, the prototypes. Okay, I think I'm ready to begin. My Warlock already has a +1 intellect. The reason being is on level 1, 3, 5 and 7, we are able to take a +1 and we can put it on any of the stats that we have not already put a modifier on. So meaning when I hit level 3, I can't put another +1 on my intellect. I've already chosen that on my first level. So I have to go on strength, agility, defense or health. I've got my backpack token for any spare loot items, my shield token, And my spell dice over here. So without further ado, guys, we're going to jump right on into it. I'm going to go straight onto tile number 1 here, and as we move in, we'll take a card from the adventure deck. Now I can already see that top card, so I'm always going to disregard that one. And we have an action card. Take an action card from the deck and resolve it. So head over here to the action cards. And the action cards give us options. This is a really old version. I've had to take a couple of cards out of here already. These will have 15 cards, and these used to be generic to all scenarios, but they've changed recently. Well, I say recently, in sort of the last quarter, and there will be 15 of these for each scenario to make it quite thematic, because we don't want you fishing in lava, and we don't want you sort of foraging wild flowers in a dungeon. Okay, so some of the thematics didn't quite work, so we've now made custom decks for each scenario. So please excuse if we come across some actions that are not quite fitting for this scenario. That has all been now changed. So my first action card here, I've got some options, and it says, you've been travelling for some time now and your stomach's rumbling. Is now a good time to eat? Option 1, it's late in the day, take a seat, get a fire going, you can't wait to eat. Option 2, your stomach's always rumbling, just grab a snack from your rucksack and continue onwards. Okay, now I'm always hungry, so I think I'm going to go for option 1. The outcome we've got here is you cook up a warm soup for the party and it goes down a treat. All allies gain a permanent +1 defense. That card will go into a discard pile. We take a +1 modifier and we pop that on our defense, and that's permanent. And one thing I did forget to do actually before I started is my ally card over here, where you guys can see that it has a static ability, my warrior, and it says here, penetrate armor effects don't work on you, and all allies gain a +1 defense. So I actually might as well take both those +1s, save on board space, and I'll just pop a +2 there. Okay, we're going to move on to tile number 2. Please excuse some of these these symbols on these cards. Those of you that are following along with our campaign, you'll realise that we've changed it thanks to your feedback recently. This action card deck is brand new. All we've done is taken all the symbols from the icons and placed them into this deck here to make our worlds truly randomly generated, just to help increase that viability of replayability. Okay, let's avoid the lava. Here we go. We have to take a card from the adventure deck. Summon 3 trash mobs to battle. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get some trash mobs out. Get ourselves some loot. So we take the trash mob deck and we summon 1, 2, 3 trash mob cards. And who have we got? We have got a Goblin Bomber. We have an elite Firehound, and I know it's elite because it's borderless. And I have a Lava Golem. I'm going to take a D20, pop it on top, and this will represent their health. So we've got 20. Okay, so they are all ready to go. We would usually use a turn order card, but I personally just chose not to use it today. And what that does, it decides who goes first in the turn order, and that's all based on agility values. So my Warlock over here has an agility value of 5. My Warrior over here has an agility value of 5. This Lava Golem has 3, so of course we're both going to go before the Lava Golem, but this Hound has 9 and this Goblin Bomber has 8. When we start to play sort of, you know, 1 versus many, and you've got 3 or 4 friends with you and they've got pets out and monsters, it can get confusing to remember who's got the highest agility value. So that's what the turn order's for. Each hero has a little token. On that token it has the artwork displayed on them, and you pop those all in order on a turn order card so that you know who's going first, second, third, fourth and fifth and so forth. Today I'm just going to remember. Okay, so up first, 9 agility, we have the Firehound. How does the AI work for our trash mobs? So we're not using the AI deck, this is for our bosses. So we always cast the highest cooldown spell if it's available. If not, we cast the next one. So our Let's have a look. Oh, I don't have my dice. So here we are. My dice ready for my trash mobs. Okay, so the Firehound is going to cast Dark Owl. It puts a darkness condition on all enemies for 3 turns. Take my darkness condition. Where are we? Oh, I can see it. For 3 turns, it goes onto my conditions tab, and we're away. Next up in the turn order, we have the Goblin Bomber. The Goblin Bomber is going to cast Explode. It's the highest cooldown. It's 6 damage plus his intellect. His intellect is 7. It's a grand total of 13 damage with a cooldown of 2. So 13 damage. I have a defense of 6. I can defend 6 of that. That means I take a grand total of 7. 7 from 38 takes the Warlock down to 31. That 13 damage also hits the Warrior. The Warrior too has a defense of 6. It shows I'm not very organised. I don't even have my D20 on my Warrior. So my Warrior, defense of 6, he takes 7 as well. 40 from 7, it puts him to 37. So I'll just use a 17. Oh, sorry, no, I've got that wrong, haven't I? 40 from 13, defense of 6, he takes 7, sorry. So that puts me to 33. It's been a long day, guys. Bear with my maths. So yeah, he's on 33, and I'll use the 13 to represent that. And once we get to 0, I know that's the 20 to start the die again. Okay, next into the turn order, it's not the Lava Golem. He's got 3, he's going last. It comes over to either the Warlock or the Warrior. We both have the same agility, so I, as the solo mode party leader, I get to decide. I'm going to choose for myself the Warlock, the main hero, to go first. So during my first turn, I have my token upkeep. All my tokens reduce a column of 1. So my darkness now only lasts for 2 turns instead of 3 turns. I don't have any other tokens temporary ones, so I don't need to move those. I have no dice, so I skip my dice upkeep. My hero's upkeep, we'll talk about that in a moment, but we can't do anything with that because there's no conditions out at the moment. We go straight into our main phase, and in our main phase, I think I'm going to cast an Area of Effect spell, an AoE spell, to try to get some of these minions down. Let's go straight in with a Shadow Flame. So I've got my my daughter actually to show you guys the board. Thank you kindly, Lily. And Shadow Flame is this spell over here, and you guys can see it reads 5 damage plus an additional 50% if my enemy is burning. There's an intellect modifier on there, so thank you, Lily. That's 5 damage plus my intellect. My intellect is a grand total of 8. 5 plus 8, we've got 13 damage. So I'm announcing 13 damage to all the enemy minions. Going to hit all of them. I'm going to work from left to right. 13 damage, I said, didn't I? Let me double check. 8 plus 5, that's right, 13 damage. He's got a defense over here of 6. 13 from the 6. This guy takes 7. 20 minus 7, down to 13. 13 damage minus 5 defense takes 8. Goes down to 12. 13 minus 2. This Goblin Bomber, very powerful but very fragile, takes 11. 11 from 18 takes him all the way down to 7 health. Great stuff, Mr. Warlock. And that is the end of his turn. Next into the turn order goes to the Warrior. Now the Warrior doesn't have a token upkeep. He does have a dice upkeep, but it's his first turn, there's no dice. We're going to go straight in with a charge. Charge deals 1 damage plus 5, because it adds a strength attack modifier. So 6 damage. I'm going to announce my 6 damage too. There's no point in attacking the Lava Golem. He's got a defense of 6. So he'll be able to defend the entire attack. The Firehound has 5, but the Goblin Bomber only has 2. So I think it would be wise to attack the Goblin Bomber. So 6 damage minus the 2 takes a grand total of 4. 4 from 7 takes us down to 3. These guys, sorry, let me put my cooldown dice on the Warrior. Goes over to the Lava Golem's turn. Now the Lava Golem is going to cast his biggest cooldown spell. Sorry, there's my dice. And that's Lava Spray. And Lava Spray, all enemies it targets with a burn condition and a can't be healed condition. So I just take my tokens out, my burn and my can't be healed. There they are. And the way burn works, it deals 3 damage over 3 turns. So when I apply the burn right now on my conditions tab, I take 1 damage, taking me down to 30, and I can't be healed. I think that was for 3 turns as well. Yeah, that's right. Our hero over here, same for our trash mobs. These guys don't collect tokens, so they don't get status effects. And the reason being is because it becomes too hard to track and it become quite fiddly. So the trash mob battles normally take about 5 minutes most. Okay, so to make things nice and easy, not very complicated, there's no tokens for these guys. So my warrior doesn't receive the burn. Okay, that's the end of round 1. We then now go into round 2, and the round starts exactly the same in the turn order because nobody buffed their agility values. So over to the Firehound. Firehound goes straight into his dice upkeep. His 3 down ticks to 2, and now this spell's not available, so we always go to the next spell. Flame Charge. Flame Charge is 2 damage plus a burn, plus a strength modifier of 8. So that's a grand total of 10. That's quite powerful because this guy's the elite. 10 damage. It's only got 1 target. So who does the Firehound actually attack? Who does the AI choose? Does it choose the warrior or the warlock? Now it's always the party leader, and the party leader is the person holding the backpack. So that is the warlock, which is myself in solo mode. So it's always going to be targeting me. That's a grand total of 10 damage. 10 damage minus my 6. I only take 4 damage, taking me down to 26. But that burn condition, I'm already burned, and the way it works is we remove the burn and it just gets reapplied. So I take another 1 damage from that burn condition. So I'm now down to 25. There's no cooldown dice on Flame Charge, so the Firehound doesn't have to worry about that. Over to the Goblin Bomber. His Explode cooldown reduces to 1. We're going to cast Heads Up. This is the only spell available. 6 damage plus his intellect, which is 7. So a grand total of 13 damage. Again, 1 target. He'll be targeting my hero, the Warlock. 13 from 6. I take a grand total of 7. 7 from 25 takes me down to 18. Okay. We also have another little condition here that says we roll for the knockback condition. So I'm going to take one of these custom dice, give it a quick roll, and we landed on the poison condition. So we don't add the knockback effect to the heads up bomb from the Goblin Bomber, which is what we were trying not to get. Okay, then next into the turn order, it comes to the Warlock's turn. The Warlock, his darkness is now on 1 turn. He takes 1 more damage from moving across the fire, the burn condition, and then the can't be healed condition lasts for 2 more turns. So I take that 1, I'm now down to a total of 17. I now go to my dice upkeep. My Shadow Flame reduces to 5. Then what I'm going to do is cast another AoE spell, I think. I'm going to take one of my die, and I think, yeah, we'll go for Shadow Blast. I'll kindly just get my daughter to present the board for you guys. So Shadow Blast, it's right next to my Shadow Flame in the bottom right hand side. You can see that it attacks all enemies for 2 damage, and this attack cannot be evaded by immune to damage conditions. It also adds a intellect modifier. So 2 damage plus my intellect. My intellect right now is 8, so that's a grand total of 10 damage. 10 damage, let's work left from right. 10 damage, defense of 6. This guy only takes 4, takes him down to 9. 10 damage from 5. This guy takes 5. 5 from 12 takes this guy to 7. And 12 damage with only a defense of 10. This guy, a defense of 2. This guy takes 10. He's only at 3, so he's dead. As he dies, go straight to the treasure chest, should I say, and there's 1 loot item ready and waiting for me there. That is the end of my main phase, and now we go over to the warrior's turn. Warrior's cooldown dice goes to 1. He doesn't have any spells he can cast this turn, so his turn is skipped. We then go over to the lava golem, and the lava golem dice upkeep is 3, goes down to 2. and he's going to cast a spell called Scalding Rock because it's the only one available. It does 1 damage plus his strength, which is 5. That's a grand total of 6. Remember, it always targets the party leader, which is myself. Grand total of 6. My defense is 6. I defend off all that attack from that lava golem. However, there's another dice roll. The dice roll, the condition we're looking for this time. Let's see which dice it's on. We are looking for the lightning bolt, which is paralyzed. Nope, that's a counter-attack condition, so paralyzed does not get added to the attack. There's no cooldown on this spell, so we don't place a dice on there. So 6, I defend all the attack, nothing happens. All these guys have had a go this round, so that's the end of round 2. We now move on to round 3. Firehound has the highest agility, so he goes first. His spell, Dark Howl, will be back in 1 more turn. He now gets to cast his Flame Charge 1 more time. It deals 10 damage plus burn, always targeting myself. Defense of 6, 10 for them 6, I take a grand total of 4. 17, take 4. Puts me down to 13, but it does reapply that burn condition. So I take 1 more damage from burn. That takes me to 12. I'm getting low. 12, and the Firehound's turns over. It then comes to the Warlock. The darkness condition. We then have can't be healed. We then take 1 more damage from the burn. That takes me to a grand total of 11. Let's go AoE again, I think. I'm going to cast a spell over here called Scourge. Deals 2 damage plus poison plus my intellect. That's a grand total of 10 damage 1 more time. Scourge, don't know if you guys can see it, it's this spell over here. 2 damage plus my intellect. Right now my intellect is at 8. That's a grand total of 10 damage. 10 damage. We'll work left to right as we have been all the way through. 10 from 6. This guy takes 4. 4 from 9. 5 health left on that lava golem. He's quite tough with a defense of 6. 10 damage from a defense of 5. This guy takes 5. The Firehound is down to 2 HP. I've placed my cooldown die on Scourge for 3 more turns. And that's the end of the Warlock's turn. Goes over to the Warrior. The Warrior, his charge spell has come back. He was exhausted, I think, from that first charge. So he's going to charge again with a cooldown of 2. It's 6 damage plus a knockback condition. We're going to target the Firehound. He's got a defense of 5, so he hits him for 1. Yep, that's right. And then we go to the Lava Golem's turn. The Lava Golem's Lava Spray will come back in 1 more turn. For now, he's going to cast Scalding Rock. We worked this out earlier. 6 damage, I can always defend against that because I have 6, so his attack cannot get through. But he does roll this red conditions die to try to find that lightning bolt, that paralysed. And no, we've got a googly eyes, a frightened condition, so no paralysed for me. End of round 3, beginning of round 4. Firehound's first. His Dark Howl comes back. Now, if you remember me saying, the AI always cast their highest cooldown spell. Sorry, the trash mobs, not the bosses. We'll use this deck for that. Okay, so this guy is going to cast his Dark Howl. He's going to place a darkness condition on us again for 3 turns. So there we go with the darkness condition. His turn's over. It then comes to the Warlock. That's my turn. My can't be healed condition disappears. I take 1 damage from the burn and the darkness moves for 2 turns. So I'm down to a grand total of 10. My dice upkeep. My Shadow Flame will be back in 4 more turns. My Shadow Blast will be back in 3 more turns. And my Scourge will be back in 2 more turns. I think what we're going to do now is going to cast a spell over here called Soul Shatter. Soul Shatter deals 1 damage plus my intellect. My intellect is 8, 1 plus 8. That's a grand total of 9. And Soul Shatters this spell over here in the bottom left-hand side. So that's a grand total of 9 damage. I'm going to target that pesky Firehound that's done an awful lot of damage to me for 9. His defense is 5. He takes 4. He's only at 1. This guy is finally out for the count. 1 more loot item. Okay, goes to the warrior's turn. He's still recharging from that charge he did last turn. So it's over to the lava golem. Lava golem, his lava spray is back up, and he will be casting lava spray one more time. Cooldown of 3 because it's his highest cooldown spell. So he will burn all enemies for 3 turns. So I reapply that burn condition, taking me down to a grand total of 9. End of round 4, the beginning of round 5. Now the Firehound has disappeared, so what we have is the Warlock going first this time. Darkness comes down. We have the burn condition, so that takes me down to 8. My cooldown dice and my dice upkeep goes to 3, 2, and 1 on my Scourge. Do I have enough to finish? Sorry, I forgot to put my dice actually on my Soul Shatter. And that will go to 1. We're going to cast Demonic Armor over here. That places a 2 HP regen condition on us and a counterattack condition for 3 turns. So I'll take a +2 HP regen condition. You guys might be able to see. What have I cast? I've cast Demonic Armor, the support spell here in the middle. 2 HP regen for 3 turns plus a counterattack condition. I find everything apart from the +2. We've got a +3, a +3, +1. There we go, there's the +2. And a little bit like a dot, this is a hot. So when I immediately place it on myself, I heal for 2. So I come back up to a grand total of 10. And that counter-attack condition, I have that for 3 turns. And that means when I get attacked, I automatically attack back with my cooldown 0 spell for free. Okay, goes over to the warrior's turn next. The charge is recalled, the cooldown on charge has disappeared, so the warrior is going to charge one more time. He's going to deal a grand total of 6 damage plus knockback. That's going to hit the lava golem. He's got a defense of 6, he can defend it all, so he takes 0 damage. Lava golem's turn, cooldown reduces from 3 to 2. He can cast a lava spray in 2 more turns. He will now default to his cooldown 0 spell, which was the Scalding Rock. It deals 6 damage, plus we're looking for that lightning bolt, that paralyzed condition. He always attacks me. My defense is buffed at the moment, so it's 6. He deals 0 damage to me, but we're looking for the paralyzed condition. Sorry, we have a hex condition, so no paralyzed, nothing happens. Back to the Warlock's turn. Token upkeep. Darkness gone. I lose 1 damage from the bleed. Counter-attack condition moves down, and I gain 2 health again from the health regeneration condition. Dice upkeep. 3 moves to 2. Shadow Blast to 1. Shadow Flame comes back in 2 more turns. Scourge and Soul Shatter are now back. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to cast Scourge. Scourge, you guys have already seen that, so you don't need to see it again. Scourge was 2 damage plus my intellect at 8, grand total of 10 damage. 10 from the lava golem, 6 over here, deals 4, taking him to 1 health point. That's it, come on, let's get him down so I can get that loot to buff my hero ready for this big boss battle that's upcoming. Okay, over to the warrior. The warrior's cooldown dice on charge reduces to 1. His static ability grants us +1 defense. This is why we're able to defend off a lot of these attacks, because of the static ability from the warrior. Okay, and he also makes us immune from penetrate defense conditions. Thankfully, none of these guys have had penetrate defense, and we'll get onto what that condition does a little bit later, should we encounter it. Okay, so the warrior's still recharging from the charge he did last turn, so he will do nothing. Over to the lava golem. Dice drops down. He'll have his lava spray back next turn. He's going to cast Scalding Rock. We're in that same scenario where we know what he's up to. He's going to deal 6 damage. I can still defend all of that. We're looking... Let's come on, that paralyzed condition. No, we've got a counter attack again. Okay, so there's no paralyzed condition added to that attack. And then that is the end of his turn. Back to my round. Burn condition disappears. My counter attack, one last turn. And the 2 health regen takes me up to a grand total of 14. My cooldowns, 1. Shadow Blast comes back. Shadow Flame 1 more turn. And Scourge 2 more turns. Let's go out with a bang. Shadow Blast, 2 damage plus my intellect. Intellect is 8, grand total of 10. 10 from 6. Lava Golem takes 4. So the Lava Golem is now finally out of the fray. He's got a lot of defense, so thankfully we only bumped into one of those guys. And that's all 3 loot items there for us. So we're going to take these now, and we're going to discard those trash mob cards. There's the deck. And let's have a look what loot items we have got here. So we've looted a Staff of Domination. This is only available for light wearing heroes. We've got a heavy power cube. It allows a heavy character to level up. We can't make use of that, unfortunately. And we do have a Robes of Light, which is a light armor class, and it increases all light damage by +1. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to put into our rucksack the heavy power cube because we can't use that. And the Robes of Light have no benefit to the Warlock. He's a shadow elemental type hero. He doesn't need any increased light damage. That's not very beneficial to us. So we've got 2 loot items there in our backpack. Now that's important because for every 2 loot items, we have to lose 1 agility. And the reason being is because the more loot items we put in our backpack, the heavier we become. So I permanently have -1 agility now. And also, if we come across the merchant in any of our action cards, we're actually able to trade 2 of our unwanted loot items for 1 of his. Now, we're not playing with the merchant today because it was one of our stretch goals. It's not been added into the game here. I did print off a card actually yesterday. Those of you who haven't seen our merchant art, this guy looks fantastic. So this will be the wandering merchant that you'll find in scenario mode. He's going to be implemented into those action cards. Okay, but we do have that Staff of Dominance. So it's a weapon. The weapon goes onto this equipment slot here. And what this says is it's got a cooldown of 4. And whenever I activate the Staff of Dominance, I go first next round, ignoring all agility values. Okay, the board gets reset. So all my cooldown dice will come back to me. My health will go back up to 38. My warrior will go back up to his trusted 40. And all these conditions, apart from the permanent ones, they stay. These temporary conditions, because they were only there during the battle, will disappear. Okay, now we're ready to explore. If you guys just excuse me, I'm going to pause the video for a moment and I'll be back in 20 minutes. But for you guys, it'll be immediately. I'll edit these videos together. I'm just going to take my daughter to work, so I will be back very, very soon. For you guys, in 2 seconds.